Syrian civil war, it obviously, took place in Syria, but it had, far-reaching effects on multiple countries in the Middle Eastern, sphere. So, it spilled over into countries such as Turkey, Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan, and Israel-occupied Golan Heights. So, it was all over the place, and it reached a lot of people and, stretched out to be more than a civil war and just mostly a massive conflict. So there were a lot of people that were involved in this conflict. The Syrian Arab Republic, Iran, Hezbollah, literally no idea what that is, Russia, the Syrian Free Army, Turkey, and then ISIS. Just throw in ISIS. Why not? They're just in there. They're trying to take some land, so that's how it be. So ISIS, they were just taking stuff over. They didn't really have, any political alignments, really, so they were just kind of there. But there were a lot of factions that were involved in this conflict that did have some stake in government and wanted either democratic reforms or the regime to stay in power. So the official Syrian government and its international allies, which include mostly Iran and Russia, and then a loose group of Sunni Arabs and a Syrian Democratic Force of majority Kurdish fighters. I'm slurring my words a little. So those were the people fighting to overthrow the regime, which was the Sunni Arabs and the Syrian Democratic Force of Kurdish Arabs. And 470,000 Syrians have died throughout this conflict so far. So to put that in perspective, 58,000 people died in the Vietnam War. Alright, so a lot of people have died in this conflict. And just a little under 5,000 people have died in the U.S. involvement with Iraq. So and those were in the same time period. This started in 2011. I'd say we went to Iraq in 2002. Yeah, so they're in the same sort of kind of time period, which is kind of crazy to realize how many people died. And I'd say probably about 250,000 of the people that died were civilians. So, this isn't just fighting forces that are dying. Civilians are being displaced and killed, and it's taking a toll on just the native populations. So it's a massive modern conflict that has little to no end in sight. And the conflict arises during a period of time called the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was the downfall of the Egyptian and Tunisian governments, so that gave hope to democratic reforms in Syria. But Syrian President Bashar al-Assad responded to protesters by brutally killing and torturing a lot of them. He brutally tortured and then murdered a 13-year-old boy for protesting the Syrian regime. To give you some backstory on this, he wasn't protesting throwing rocks. He did some graffiti. He spray painted a little message. That's it, you're dead.
The Syrian civil war stems from Bashar al-Assad's father, Hafez al-Assad, who ruled Syria from 1971 to 2000. And after Hafez al-Assad died, there was an anti-government regime established against the Assad. And then the origins of our topic were influenced by past events, because during the 1960s, Hafez al-Assad gained power through mini coups, and then eventually, when he rose to power, he implemented all of his family and family friends into positions of power. Our topic were religious, because Syria is in the Middle East, and a lot of problems or conflicts that go on in the Middle East are based on Islam and conflicts and beliefs in Islam. Because like Christianity, Islam has many different beliefs and branches. And so the Syrian civil war originated in the Middle East, which is where Syria is, and Syria lies along the border of the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, and it is bordered by Turkey, Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan.
March 15th, 2011. The Day of Rage. Protesters gather in Damascus and Aleppo to get their democratic reforms and protest against the Assad family. Now that's what I call unity. Stick it to the man. March 18th, 2011, security opens fire on protests in Dara, killing 4. The succession of the Assad family caused a lot of people to be very angry, alright? So, his dad died, alright? Then he just throws in Bashar al-Assad, and he's just terrible. He's so bad. Nobody likes him. He's just he's killing tons of people. Nobody's got any food. This needs to end. Syria was in a bad state. This civil war was a necessity. The conflict is still going on to this day and is very prominent. You can look up right now, you guys remember during the elections when everyone was talking about Aleppo? What's Aleppo? Dude, I don't know what Aleppo is, but all I know is that Aleppo, well, I actually do know what Aleppo is. I'm a very well-informed American man. So Aleppo basically is a town where there's a lot of fighting going on, like a lot, and a lot of people are dying, and you've got a lot of different fighting forces inside of Aleppo, so you're not sure like which is which and who is who, and there's not a lot of news coming out of Aleppo. You know, it's bad, scary stuff over in Syria. You don't want to be involved with that. Stay out of that. You know. So the Syrian civil war is a political conflict stemming from Bashar al-Assad's rule of Syria. He's a bad guy. Nobody likes him. So, you know, a lot of people in the Middle East have been affected by the Syrian civil war in many ways. You know, civilians, women, children, soldiers, everyone that could possibly be affected has been one way or another affected. So basically, 11 million people were displaced from their homes because of the Syrian civil war. You remember the Syrian refugee crisis? This is why.